All right, another episode. We have strung a lot of these together. We have been consistent. We're coming up on a year now. Dr. Dustin and Erika here with you today. This one's going to be a little more on the empowerment side. This is the Vital Wire. All right, so we've had a lot of guests recently.
We have.
Great string
really
of guests,
great
which has really been the theme of the entire podcast. That's the
Right.
point. But we're going to be the stars of this one. We're going to kind of bring this full circle. We've got a great topic to talk about today. This one is going to be on a little different level. We're going to, again, bring this full circle, but this one's love versus passion.
Right.
I think this is something that a lot of people need to sit with. They can be separate and they can be the same.
Right.
And there's a lot of different perspectives that need to come from, especially the word passion.
Right.
So with that, I mean, I'll talk a little bit more about why I do what we do, why you do what you do, why we do what we do here.
Right.
And how to bring that personally, professionally, but also in the future. But I really think it's something that's underestimated that people need to sit with, because I think it can also provide a lifestyle, a being, a culture for who you are, who you and your family are, what you do, and why you do it.
Right.
So I think it's super important. This is going to be a fun one to talk about.
I agree. And like you were saying before, that word and that thing, passion and love, being separate, but also just the word passion in general, having people sit with it, because there's a lot of different ways you can take the word passion, and sometimes it has a negative connotation, especially in the more of the religious realm, because passion can be kind of described as lust sometimes.
Ooh la la.
And we don't love that for sure, but it also...
Well, hang on a second. Cut.
We love that, don't get me wrong. We wouldn't have 3 kids if we didn't love that aspect of it. But no, the word passion in and of itself, it doesn't have to have that negative connotation. We want it to be more of a... something that you are passionate about, not...
I want it to be about passion. So yeah, I mean, but the different, again, like the different perspectives. Like you can look at it from one side. You can look at it so many different angles, and this is exactly why we want to talk about it.
Exactly.
This is why I want to kind of bring this to light. I think this is going to be a good one that people will be like, never did think about it that way. So just kind of jumping into it, it's one of the things, like why I do what I do, why Vital Performance exists, and why what my hobbies are, why they are what they are.
Right.
And because you can be passionate about something, and you can love something. Like my family, our families, we are passionate and love our families.
Right.
We're going to keep them safe. We're going to provide for them, build them, grow them. That's something you love and are passionate about.
Right.
Together. Now, with what I do, and I'm very open in talking about this, and we haven't talked about racing in a while.
Right.
But my everyday, why I love the healthcare lifestyle we live.
Right.
But my passion isn't so much chiropractic. It's not the healthcare industry.
Right.
My passion and why I do what I do, I love how I deliver the healthcare system. But I am passionate about making sure that people are able to do what they want and love and are passionate about doing.
Right.
So like the whole racing thing for me and what we do for our family and why we bought the motorhome and why I grew up doing that. So there's just a commonality. There's a nostalgia for that for me. There's the racing side. It's the artistic side. It's the problem solving. It's the building. It's the competitiveness. It's the adrenaline. Like I love that. But again, that's the love side. Like I love how it makes me feel. But I am so passionate about that industry because what it can provide for for all the other things, for the critical thinking, for the problem solving, and having our kids grow up and see that. It's like I wouldn't want them to learn it any other way, because they're going to be able to take it into so many different avenues, much like maybe yours you can look at from the dance perspective. It's like racing's not the only thing. It's just what I'm passionate about that provides that. So, but again, you just heard me say it. I am passionate and love that.
Right.
So sometimes it's like, am I doing the wrong thing every day? It's like, no, because there's the reason I do what I do. I'm passionate about the reason of what I do. I love how I deliver it through chiropractic care and the things that we provide in this office. So there's blended lines. There's very much separate, because you do go into the more lust side of things. It's like, man, passion. It's like, ooh, fire burning. It's like, ooh, baby, that was good. But, it's not necessarily somebody or something you loved. And that's where you, like, it's okay to have them separate. I think it's more dangerous not to acknowledge
the separation. And
when you do start to evaluate the decisions you make and why you do what you do, or whatever it might be, not that you have to, do I love this? Am I passionate about this? But I think there's a level of that's being evaluated. And if that's a trigger for you where it's like, maybe I should evaluate love and passion as I make decisions, then great. That's why we're having the conversation.
Right, because there is time and place as well, and there is a time to evaluate, because, for me, the passion is dance. I am obsessed with racing. I love it. I love what it has given our family, and I love doing it with our family. That is why we bought the motorhome. I mean, like, I'm passionate about that too, but my other passion that I've grown up with myself is dance. So I've had to do the hard thing and take dance out of my life before, and I literally have done it since I was 2.5. And when we did that, I tanked. That was probably my worst year, I would say, because I wasn't able to fully fulfill myself. I went from, being a studio teacher, being involved professionally in dance still, and then also being a dance coach, to taking all three of those away from myself. And I lived a life without a passion for 1.5 years. And it got to the point where Dustin literally had to sit me down and be like, you have to do something. Like, you can't do this to yourself anymore, because you can't fill your bucket. The office gives me passion as well, because I am able to connect with people and love on people and see them get well and do well through chiropractic and through everything else we have to offer in our office. But that only fills my bucket so much, because I wasn't fulfilling myself with a passion that I too love and adore and am passionate about.
And that's so that's a great, again, here's the perspective side of it. That's a great perspective to look at it from. And why I'm passionate of why I do what I do is because now let me flip this around a little bit. Let me put some perspective on this. Is what if you weren't able to do what you are passionate and love to do?
Yeah, geez.
Like, not just like from a health perspective. Like, this is like, what if not tying it to us and what we do and provide here, but what if you are not able, and it's not just like, the cancer side of it, or like not the hugely detrimental health effects,
right?
Like, maybe, but what if you want to run the Boston Marathon and you don't have the ability to get through the whole entire race because the endurance isn't there?
Right.
So now you've got to train, but what if you don't have the ability to train for the endurance to do something you're passionate and love to do? That's why I do what I do. So just imagine, it's like, at what point in time do we start to get passionate and love ourselves enough to make sure that we can do what we want and love to do and are passionate about doing?
Right.
So this is why it's like, okay, there's so many lattices here in this conversation that we're having that I just want to bring about. Again, going back to my passion, it's like, if I don't provoke these thoughts and feelings and get people to start to think about it in this way, it's like, there's so many people, if I don't speak on this, that might never take the action step to just take care of themselves. I don't care if you come in here to do it. I don't care if you're across the nation, country, globe, and you want to reach out and be like, how do I do this better? Who can you put me in touch with? Because it's like at some point in time, one, figure out and sit with love and passion. Why I do what I do, why I love what I do. Do I have things that are separate? Is there things that need to come to light that I need to enjoy again? Am I putting something off to the side and I'm not filling my bucket with something I'm passionate about? And then also, do I have the ability? If not, why? What do I need to do about it? Is it in my health? Yes, we'd love to be a resource for you. Yeah. So start to evaluate these things, because everybody deserves to enjoy those things. And even the ooh la la passionate side of things. Right. And so I just think it's a big topic that needs to be addressed.
No, I agree. And something that I love that you just said here is the ability to do it. But there are other things that you do sometimes have to evaluate as well. It's time, capacity, health. All of that needs to be addressed when you're looking at that passion. Because if you feel like you don't have it, or you had to give it up, and your reasoning is time, you're lying to yourself.
Yes.
If your reasoning is health, you have to prioritize that. And if your reason is capacity, again, you're lying to yourself about your time that you have. Yeah. Which we've talked about time before.
Yes.
But if that's what you're evaluating, then you need to further deepen that schedule. You need to look into other things, and you need to allow yourself to prioritize yourself so that you can get back to that passion, so you can fill your bucket and be there for your family. Yeah. Because the last thing that you want to do is take that passion away and then only be able to give 10% at home.
Yes.
Because
no leftovers.
Exactly. You can't allow yourself to be the leftover or the 10%. You have to be able to pick up the 100% at all times. Or if you are going to have a down day, everybody has down days. Like sometimes you have to give 60 when I give 40, or the vice versa, and things like that. But you can't always show up at 10%. Yeah. And sometimes when you give up that passion, that's exactly what you're going to only be capable of. So if that's health, come in our doors, or let us be that resource. Just shoot us a message and we can be that resource.
So, and let me just, this is where I can channel my inner Frisella, maybe. I don't know.
I love you adjust your hat.
I'm not even gonna. Yeah, I know. I'm getting nervous for everybody. I should even put myself in the same, not even same conversation as Frisella. That guy's done amazing things and very passionate and genuine. But it's why do we let something that a lot of people in this world do something every day and have a job to provide for their families because they love and are passionate about their families. But why are we letting something rule our time and schedule that we do not love and are passionate about? Think about that for a second. Well, I got to have a job to make money. That's fine. I don't disagree. But at what point in time, and where did we miss the boat, and what resources do we need to help us do what we love and are passionate about, to provide for who we are most loving and passionate about? So we're letting something dictate our schedule that we don't love and are passionate about, take away time from what we most love and are passionate about, which is our families. So when you said no when I said no leftovers, you were provoking like you're only giving your family 10%. It's like we choose that. It's like, well, I have to. No, now you're making an excuse. We literally choose to, a lot of us choose, or haven't been brought into perspective, like, look, stop choosing to give what you love most and are passionate about the most, your family, your loved ones, kids if you have them, your family, and choosing to give them 10% of your love and passion. However, you're going to go do this thing every day that you don't love and are not passionate about.
That's hurting you.
That's causing you to give the 10%. And it's like, hang on a second. And I've said this, I have gone on record, I have told this to my team. Every one of my team members can make more money than me, don't care.
Right.
I know what it takes for me to be able to want and do what I want to do and provide with my family, and to race and do those things, because that's what I love and passionate about. You talked about time. We did end up doing a podcast where we talked about time, and this is so important because here's proof. I'm nothing special. We have far from made it. We are growing. We are blessed. But I just decided one day we got rid of our Thursday evening hours. And you know how many people cared? Yeah, pretty close.
Like,
Like
you can't
0.
see me if you're not watching,
Yeah.
but I'm holding up a big old 0.
0. And it's like, and some people come in, wait, you're not here on Thursdays? It's like, no, because this Thursday, it is what, June 20th. This Thursday, as long as I get my stuff done, it allows us the ability to get in the motorhome, load up the race car, load up the kids, head to Spoon River, go race Thursday and Friday. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to give who I love and what I love and I'm passionate about the most and go do the things we love and are passionate about the most and give them 100% of my time. Now, I'm very lucky. I do what I love and am passionate about. So just perspective. Don't be afraid to start to have that conversation and make a life shift. It's never too late.
No.
You're not the only one in the scenario, but this is exactly why when I was listening to, I forget what podcast it was. I don't know if it was Dropping Bombs or I don't know if it was AF. I don't know what it was, but I literally just put this in our ClickUp board and I just said love versus passion. But this is exactly what I had in mind and why I wanted to bring it to you guys, because I am so passionate about making sure people do what they want and love to do and are passionate about and have the ability to do so.
Right. You mentioned something great about like the job situation. If you're putting yourself in the place to not love or be passionate about something, it's your own doing. You don't have to do that. And I think something that everybody also gets caught up in is the job portion of it. Like, well, I have to have a job. Yes, you have to have a job. However, if you're sacrificing everything else for that job, that's not the place for you if you're not able to fill that cup. And something else that people get stuck on, because it's America, is having a job in their industry that they got their degree in. And that's not always the case. Like, well, I have to get a job in this industry because I got my degree in it, so they're gonna pay me what I want. No, it's not always the case.
I think a lot of people make that decision based on their demographic culture that they grew up into. Where I think a lot of people are coaxed into thinking that I'm not going to call out industries, I very well could, but by and large, there's a couple industries I can think of that people, when they grow up, they go to school, what are you going to be? I'm going to be either this or this, is by and large. But if you look in the communities, that's what they are. Like that's all you hear about is, and it's okay. Like if you love and are passionate about being a teacher, do that.
Right.
I think it's a very underserved industry. I think it's a 6-figure salary easy because the people who decide, who want to do it are passionate about teaching.
Right.
They do not love the teaching industry in the way it's taught and treated.
No.
So I did call out one of the professions, but I also think people might, to your point, trick themselves into thinking, well, because so many other people in my area have chosen to do that, I'm going to go do that. Because it's noble and it's like, well, hang on a second. We just hired somebody from that industry.
Yep.
And so you're so right, is it's like, okay, well, I got my degree in that. Nobody's judging you.
Right.
Nobody is like, well, I thought you said you're going to be a teacher 15 years ago. And it's like, well, guess what? You can be a doctor of anything. You can be a teacher of anything. I told my grandparents this one time when I was I was actually going to go and do the whole NASCAR thing and on the pit crew side. Grew up in it, and I'm like, look, I am done living in LA. I am done. I came back, I did it, I cut the cord, and they're like, well, what are you going to do? And I did some college, and I knew, like, I'm doing what I love and am passionate about, but I almost went and did the pit crew thing out there. And I'm like, well, why settle when I can have it all?
Yeah.
It's just... I thought I wanted to do something based on how I grew up. I got away from that. But then I'm like, well, I can be a doctor of anything. This was the point. You could tell I got off track there for a little bit. So the point when I told my grandparents, they're like, well, I thought you wanted to be a chiropractor. Well, I almost did this because I'm passionate and love racing. I was like, I can be a doctor of automotive. Just because I don't have the prefix doesn't mean I don't have the knowledge, the skill set. It's like those guys, and I have friends that are on pit crews. I have friends that are friends with the drivers in NASCAR, and I have those engineers, and you know, it's like those pit crews and everybody involved in no matter what you do, like a lot of them they have a doctorate in what they do, but they didn't have to do it the conventional way, and maybe they're not a doctor by prefix.
Right.
You can be a teacher and teach, but it doesn't have to be necessarily I'm not even going to say education. Everything's educational, but it doesn't have to be in the school system.
Right.
So we hired, literally just 3 days ago, hired somebody who is a teacher, who got her degree in teaching. But guess what? We just changed the perspective. She's still going to teach, but now it's along the lines of something she is passionate about.
Yep. For sure. I love that. And it's okay to think you are passionate about something and fall out of passion for it. Or you believe that this is something you love and come to find out you're not passionate about it. You love it, you like it, but you're not passionate about it. And that's similar scenarios to people who do go into, and since we're using it, teaching. Yeah. They love teaching, or they love the thought and idea of teaching because they had that one teacher in school that they absolutely adored and they were going to be that person. And then they get into it and it's not for them. And you can say the same thing with me teaching dance. Mm-hmm. I mean, I taught studio for a very, very long time and I loved it, but the studio teaching wasn't something that I was passionate about. Mm-hmm. My passion was seeing these kids' lights turn on when they figured out that one moment. And that's something that coaching has given me, that teaching at a studio never gave me, because I wasn't able to have that like one-on-one personal time with them as I do my just 26 kids that I have in my program. Mm-hmm. Because I wasn't able to give them the dedication and time I could to figure out how to get them to turn their hip or something like that. And that's what a lot of these people, or a lot of people now, I think in today's society, are finally figuring out that it's okay to have it, and then it's okay also to be like, pull back, take a second, and maybe that's not the passion that I thought I had 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. And refining that light or refining that fire. It's almost like a phoenix. It's you get burned out, you find something new, and maybe that's why that wasn't that true passion. You got to find what you're actually passionate about, go for it full throttle, and send it.
Yeah. Full throttle and send it. Love that.
Send her, Bob.
Love that. Well, here's I'm going to yet put another perspective on this that just came to me.
We love it.
But here is we've all heard of people, it's like, oh, well, we still love each other. Mm. And it's like, okay, well, then you lost the passion. Mm. It's like, that's okay in certain relational scenarios. It's like, you can't just marry somebody, have kids, and be like, well, we still love each other. It's like, you can't lose the passion. Or it's like, man, the sex is great, but we just don't love each other anymore. It's like, no, that's not ideal. But in some of those scenarios, you're growing up and you have your first relationships, and, but even as we get older, it's like, man, we really love each other. It's like, okay, well, then you're missing one dynamic. That's okay. Mm-hmm. Which brings me not only job-wise, real life-wise, relationship-wise, here's the other perspective. Going back to and I'll use the teaching as the example versus the intimate relationship side. That industry, again, very much backwards, which is a lot of things have been, but very much backwards, very underserved, under-resourced, underpaid, underthanked. And I don't think this is not a malicious event. I think it's got to that point. I wish there was an easy way to fix it. We don't need to open that can of worms, but if you see a teacher, just give him a hug, pat him on the back, give him a $100 gift card to somewhere, like something. Yeah, but it's not necessarily just about the money. But imagine doing something you're passionate about and love, and doing it for somebody who does not love and is passionate about you.
Nope.
There's a perspective I didn't see coming. It's like X, Y. It's like a 4D podcast. And then how many relationships do you come into, whether it's business, whether it's intimate, whether it's coaching, or on a team, or vice versa. It's like you hear guys all the time getting coaches fired in the Major League Baseball, or the players wanted them fired. It's like, imagine going in and coaching a team that's not passionate and loves you as a coach. Mm-hmm. Imagine having a team that you're coaching that doesn't, that's not loving and passionate of you, or working for an industry that's not in love and passionate about you. And what it's like, there's just so many different things. Start putting yourself, like 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Right. But still, why settle? So if they're not passionate about you and serving you well, but you love and you're delivering it and the outcomes are great, it's like, okay, 2 out of 3. But it's like, imagine having all 3, and why settle for just 2? Mm-hmm. So if you're underserved and you don't feel like they're passionate about having you there, one, have a conversation. Sit with yourself and think about this for a second. How can I deliver this? Ask the right questions, because maybe there's a miscommunication somewhere. But I think a lot of times, a lot of the scenarios we put her in, we think 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And I think that's another angle where we need to evaluate. Do they love and are passionate about me and what I'm providing and what I'm doing? And if they're not, I'm just not going to be respected like that.
Right.
I want to be ultra respected. I don't want it, and I want it to be whole. I want it to be both sides.
Because I think everybody deserves to be respected in any aspect of their life. Nobody deserves half-assed mentalities or presence or partners or anything like that. I mean, that goes right back to, you can put it into your professional life. That goes right back to the 10%.
Yeah.
Giving forth 10%. If you're in, because we own businesses.
Yeah.
If your employees are giving you 10% and you're having to pick up the 90, that's tough on you as an employer.
Yeah.
But vice versa, if you're an employer that's only giving 10% to your employees, how do you think that makes them feel? Yeah. It goes both ways. If you have a boss that you just feel like you could literally give them the world and they would say, "Oh, thanks." Or they wouldn't even say thanks. Yeah. They would just take it and continue on. That's terrible for you. But that's also the same way as an employer. If you're gifting and giving and, affirmation after affirmation, and there's no thanks back, and it's just a thankless type of relationship, that's also something that you have to reevaluate.
Yeah, no reciprocation. And it's not tit for tat. It's like, oh, he gave me a raise, so I've got to give him something monetary in return. It's not that. It's just the action of, the thought of. It's like that stuff goes like unsaid. It's like, this morning, did you start the laundry? Yeah, because I love and I'm passionate about you and want to be passionate with you. But
it's probably the first time I actually didn't get mad at you.
It goes like it just goes unsaid. And a lot of things, yes, we have to ask people to do things sometimes, but most often it's just like, recognize those things. And we're very honest with people too. Like, look, if you get to a point to where this is just not it, like you're not, it's okay. Like, don't hate yourself for it. Don't put a story in your head thinking you're being judged for it, that you're going to have to make a hard decision. We just had somebody leave. We just had an employee leave our practice, which I get. And it was totally honest the whole way. Like, look, I love who you are, but if this, and that just happened, like, it's okay. There's no judgment here.
Exactly. And
so don't judge yourself for it either as you evaluate.
I think that's something that we're really good at, though. Like, not tooting our own horn or anything, but I think that's something that we're really good at, and that I think everybody can evaluate in their own life, is making sure that we are passionate to our employees. We are passionate towards them in their personal goals and their business goals, inside our practice and outside of our practice. And something else that we always stress back is that our passion that we give to them is something that we would like to see in return. And so the fact that we always communicate that is something that I think we do really well in our life, of living in a passionate perspective and in a passionate way for everything we do, racing, dance, the office, like I said, being involved in our employees' lives. They are our family. Yeah. But also finding employees and finding people that we want to live our life with that are also passionate in their own lives and passionate in our business and things like that. And that's something that I think everybody could evaluate, making sure that they have people on their side that are just as passionate as them.
Yep. And we carry that over here as we do care for a lot of people in the health and wellness space. And, that's why too, it's like, I tell people, we're not here to judge you. We're here to help you. Like, I don't care, if you think you're overweight, that's fine. I'm not going to base things on weight or posture or I slept wrong. It's like, I'm not judging you. I'm just passionate about making sure that you're coming in here with a goal that I want to get you to and through. And so it's like, but start being passionate about yourself and loving yourself in scenario.
And that's where you have to start.
And if there's something that you want and need to take care of, then do it. But evaluate, first of all, is there something that you've put to the side that's taken away from filling your bucket, that you love and are passionate about? And then evaluate, am I truly in love and passionate about that thing? or what I'm doing, however you want to take it. Start to evaluate what it is you do, the hobbies you do or don't do, what you do every day, what you're most in love with, what you're most passionate about, and what collides. And then just kind of evaluate, okay, are there steps I need to take to be able to actually be able to do the thing?
Right.
And just know that we are in your corner to help you achieve that in whatever capacity. Have a conversation, need another resource. It's like, I'm super passionate about landscaping my yard to this Pinterest board. It's like, great. Love it for you. Not passionate about it, but you are. Who can I connect you with to get you there? Like, that's what I love to do. That's my passion. I love that.
Have you met Josh?
I want to do it myself. Okay, but I can't because I can't bend over for so long, or I've got a torn rotator cuff, or I lose my breath. I get a lot of cramps. I don't know what's going on with my digestive tract. Like, okay, great. So let me help you through that. Just start to take action. Be in love with yourself and passionate about the abilities that God has given you to be who you are and do what you want and love to do.
Yes.
And then figure out what those things are, and do not settle. Do not give 10% to who you are and love and passionate about the most. And if you need to make a change, be bold, make a change. It doesn't have to, I'm not saying, some people probably should just go in, quit, and pivot and go. So disclaimer, that's not exactly what I'm saying to do. If you're called to do that, send it and commit whole asset and go.
Love that.
But
Whole asset.
I love this rant. I love this episode. This is something teacher learns the most. I say that a lot too. Stole that from another Dr. Brad Galacki. Teacher learns the most, which he probably got it from somewhere else. Nothing anymore is really new. But I love having these conversations and doing the Vital Wire because I think there's a lot of even pot calling the kettle black, and as my mom would say, and stuff that we listen to as we're speaking it. It's like, we're not perfect. We're not saying we have this all figured out. There's stuff that I have said. It's like, yeah, dude, you two probably should take that next level of evaluation on a couple things.
Yep.
Yeah?
I like it.
Sweet. Another episode, stringing them together. We will not miss. Share this out with somebody. Subscribe. Smash the like button. Share this out. Comment when we post this on social media. Follow us on social media. Follow us personally. Dr. Dustin Boston, Erika M. Boston on Instagram. We've got Facebooks too. Friend us if we get it, and hopefully we don't stick you in purgatory. We'd be more than happy to friend you. All our Vital Performance page. Doc Throttle is about to launch off again, so feel free if you want to keep up with the racing side. It'll definitely collide a little bit with my personal, but super love and appreciate you guys. Another episode in the books.
Yeah.
See ya.